guys, welcome back to my channel. Did I just change my shirt for this video? Yeah. But you know what? I'm in my cowboy era. I am also currently reading Powerless and loving it. I'm only 20% in and I am already loving it, y'all. But you guys are gonna have to wait for the reading vlog. Anyways, for today's video, I figured I would do a kind of like back to the basics. I wanted to do a video on my rating systems just because I never did a video like this. You guys don't really know how my rating system works. I'm gonna do my star rating system as well as my spice rating system. These systems are kind of like how I feel when I rate a book and why I rate them the way that I rate them and how I rate my spicy books. I used to not rate spice in my books, but I feel like I'm such a spicy whore that I might as well start rating them a spice because I would like to know. And if you guys know what my spice means, then you guys know what you guys are getting into, if that makes sense. So let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna start off with my star ratings. These are the ones that are the most complicated just because there's the 0.5s, y'all. I don't do the 0.25, I don't do 0.75. Like I just do 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, or 5. Absolute perfection. So we might as well start off with 5-star. Like if it's 5 stars, it is an absolute perfection of a book. 5 stars is also, it might not be absolute perfection, but it gave me that 5-star feeling. And that 5-star feeling could be different from, it probably is different from everybody who reads a book, because a book might not be absolute perfection, but if it made you feel a sort of way about it, like it makes you can't stop thinking about it, like I live and breathe this book, then it is a 5-star. Even if there was like maybe one thing that was like you could have done without, it didn't take away from the overall story. That is what a 5-star is for me. The book is literally absolute perfection and I got that 5-star feeling, or it just might be perfect in my eyes. Moving down to a 4.5. This one for me is I loved the book, but if I loved a book but it is followed by a but, then it is a 4.5 because it wasn't absolute perfection, but it also didn't give me that 5-star feeling. That's what it is. It could be things from a book that I just didn't appreciate and I didn't like and I could have done without, or if a book is too long but it's still so good that I loved it, it could be a 4.5. Most of the time, if it's a 4.5, because it didn't give me that 5-star feeling. So that's where kind of where 4.5 lands for me. I still think it is an absolutely phenomenal book and I would still recommend it, but it's that but, y'all. It's that but, like, but there was just something about it that didn't really make it be a 5-star for me. Moving on, because I could literally try and explain this for like hours. I'm trying to make it make sense for y'all, but also trying to make it a little bit simple. So moving on, if it is a 4-star, it's kind of the same with a 4.5. It's just it had a lot more wrong in it, but I still loved it. For example, with the 4.5, it's like capitalized, I loved the book. But that's why I say a 4.5 usually might be because I didn't get that 5-star feeling. So it can't be a 5-star. But with a 4-star is I loved the book, but there was more things wrong with it that I could have done without. The higher up numbers are really difficult to explain. It's all personal like things about a book that may or may work for you or may not work for me. I guess I could give an example. For example, a 5-star for me would be Heartless by Elsie Silver. Honestly, Heartless or Flawless by Elsie Silver. Anything by Gianna Darling is a 5-star for me. Funny Feelings, Wolf Gone Wild. All of the books that I literally gush about that are 5 stars are usually all of those. The Candy Steiner books, A Blind Side, all of those are 5 stars for me. 4.5 for me would be King of Wrath by Anna Huang. That book was so good. I loved it while I was reading it. I didn't love Vivian's dynamic with her family, and it also didn't give me a 5-star feeling. That's why it was a 4.5. A 4-star for me would be Don't Hex and Drive by Juliet Cross. That one, I loved it. I loved it so much, but I didn't like the miscommunication trope. and I didn't get that 5-star feeling. 3.5 and 3 stars are kind of the same as well. That 0.5 really is just a little extra, and the 0.5 also helps me either decide whether I'm gonna round down or round up, because on Goodreads you can't have 0.5s, you just gotta have the solid numbers. But the 0.5s are really helpful for me, and I feel like some books are just a little bit greater than just 3 or a little bit greater than just 4. So that's really how I see the 0.5s. But for example, the 3 and the 3.5, they're really similar. It's just it didn't reach quite a 4-star. So I should have formatted this video, but I'm just going with the wind, y'all. I'm just going with the flow. 3.5 means that I really enjoyed the book and I would recommend. Then a 3-star means that I enjoyed it and I would recommend if it's something I think that you guys would like. It might not be a 3-star is something like when I think about a 3-star a book, they're usually novella based or just a book that I just enjoyed reading it. I didn't love it and I didn't hate it. It was pretty average. I might recommend it if it sounds like something that you might like. So if I talk about a book and it's 3 stars, it doesn't mean that it's bad and it doesn't mean that it's good. It's just average, and it might be really good for you if the premise of the book sounds like something that you would enjoy. Or it might just be 3 average and I wouldn't recommend it if it's the basis and the premise of the book is something that you just are like, no, thank you for. You know, it's very like hit or miss. But overall, when I give a book a 3 stars because I enjoyed my read, but it wasn't something amazing and it wasn't something like really bad. So my 3s are pretty average ratings. So my 2.5 is I finished it and like some things about it, but still no. A 2.5 really is like I wouldn't really recommend it, because if I would have recommended it, it would be a 3-star. So there was something in it that I was just like, absolutely not. You know what I mean? If I'm reading a book and I am hating it, but there are some things in it that I liked, like literally the bare minimum, it's a 2.5. But a 2 is I finished it and I didn't like it and it's not for me. So if I am reading a book and I'm not enjoying it, but I finished it, it's probably a 2-star. Then I have my 1-star and my 1.5 stars. My 1-star is I DNF'd it. I hated it. Absolute garbage. Like, why would you write this? It was literally trash. Okay, if I DNF'd it from the get-go because of the writing, because it was just horrible, because of the concept, like I hated it, then it's a 1-star. And a 1-star could also be like I finished it, but I absolutely hated it, but I don't think I would ever finish a book that I hated. Like I can't. You know, like I wouldn't be able to. But a 1.5 is I DNF'd it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it and it wasn't for me. So if I pick up a book and I read 20%, 50%, 60%, and I am just like, I'm not liking this, I'm not having a good time, and I DNF it, then I'm gonna give it a 1.5 because I didn't absolutely hate it that I had to DNF it earlier on. Like I might have gotten a little bit further into it. I just couldn't do it anymore and I DNF'd it, then it's a 1.5. I really hope that star rating explanation made sense for you guys. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that and I'm gonna move on to my spice rating. So if it doesn't have any chili peppers, then it's fade to black. Like some people rate books like 1 chili pepper when it's fade to black, and I'm like, but if it's fade to black, there should be no chili peppers. There's not even a 1, because for what? You know, there is no spice. Okay, nothing. So if I don't put a spice rating, it means that it's a clean romance. There is no spice. I don't know what spice to you guys is, because maybe people rate a book that is clean, like it's fade to black, a 1 chili pepper because of what happens before it's fade to black. But at that point, it's like no chili peppers for me. Like if you're gonna close the door, like what the heck, you know? So it's no chili peppers for me if it is fade to black and if it is a clean romance. A clean romance to me is like if they don't kiss, they don't do nothing. But maybe if they kiss and they start doing other stuff, but then it fades to black, we don't get the whole scene, that is still 0 for me. Now, 1 chili pepper for me is sexy times happen, but there is no details. That's 1 for me, okay? Because like, yeah, we know what's happening, but there is no details. And you're just like along for the ride. You're not in it. And I'm just like, well, that's just 1 because what what was that? I do sometimes do 0.5s in my spice rating as well, just because these are just examples for myself to give me like a basis of what I should do. So sometimes books could be a 2.5 if the 2 spice rating kind of combines with the 3, but it's not really a 3, it could be a 2.5. For my spice rating, I don't really have a 0.5 system written down. Moving on, a 2 for me is we get one sex scene with some detail. That's a 2 for me. We would know what's happening and there'd be more details. Like, how do I even like explain this? There could just be quite a bit more details than what, like, we know what's happening and there's details. Is it perfect amount of details? No, so it's a 2-star. Then for a 3 chili pepper rating, we get more than one sex scene with perfect amount of detail. 3-star for me is kind of like the sweet spot. Like, I really appreciate 3 spice rating. I do have quite a bit of reads where it is between a 3 and a 4. I give a lot of 3.5s. So with a 3.5, I feel like we get more than one sex scene with the perfect amount of details and there's dirty talk. I feel like for a 3.5, we get what we needed. You know, we get the perfect amount with the perfect amount of detail and there's dirty talk. I feel like that's kind of where it lands for a 3.5 chili pepper for me. So for a 4-star, multiple sex scenes with perfect detail plus dirty talk and kink, I feel like once you add kink into it, let's say BDSM, and there's multiple scenes with it and it's perfect detail and it has dirty talk, then it's a 4 spice rating for me. Let's say there is exhibitionism, there is degradation and praise, there is just any sort of kink that you can think of, is a 4-star for me most likely, especially if it's multiple scenes with perfect amount of detail. A 5 chili pepper, listen, this, I don't think I've ever rated a book a 5 chili pepper. I feel like maybe novellas could sometimes get a 5 chili pepper because in novellas there's not really much plot, it's just smut. But written down for a 5 chili pepper rating, I have, it is pure smut, maybe no plot, it is hot, it is dirty, I'm sweating, wop, on my knees, all the things, kink, dirty talk, etc. So a 5 chili pepper, like y'all, a 5 chili pepper, I'd have to be sweating. Like, I'd have to literally be on my knees for the smut. That's just kind of like the basis that I go off for my spice ratings, so I wanted to let you guys know. If you know 5-star chili pepper, then go ahead and leave it down below in the comments. I would love to know and I would love to read it. And I hope that this video was helpful for you guys when it comes to my rating system on books. This is not set in stone. This is just kind of like, if I'm reading a book, I will go to my rating system list and like kind of look over it and see where that book kind of falls. Also, I came up with this rating system because I wanted a basis for me to come back to. I didn't want to rate my books all willy-nilly. I wanted them to be consistent and concise and true. I didn't want to say one book was this amount of spice and then say this book was the same amount of spice but it could have been more spice. Does that make sense? And I wanted to have a more solid base for my star ratings as well, because I did feel like last year my ratings were kind of all over the place. And like, let's not even talk about the way that I rated books when I first got back into reading. Like, girl, I was giving 5 stars left and right. I was like, you get a 5-star, you get a 5-star, you get a 5-star. But it's completely different now that I know like my reading taste and like I know what I like, and I'm reading a lot more books now. So I wanted to have, again, this like basis that I could come back to and have a concise rating system. And so yes, I hope this helps you guys in the way that I rate my books. I do want to throw in here how I kind of rate my slow burns. So with a slow burn book, if they do not kiss or have sex before the 50% mark, then it is a slow burn for me, girl. If they don't at least like kiss before the 50% mark, then it's slow burn, because we have to wait 50%, halfway through the book, we have to wait. So what I'm saying is that anything that is after the 50% mark, like if they kiss at the 52% mark, it is a slow burn. If they have sex at the 60% mark, it is a slow burn. I feel like once we hit the 50% mark, that is the sweet spot usually for me. Like, I don't mind it. It's a slow burn, but it's a slow burn done well. well. And if it's not a slow burn done well, then I will let you know. Anything before 50% mark is not slow burn, but at the same time, in a sexual sense, a slow burn, if they have sex before the 50% mark, then it's not a slow burn. But you can have an emotional slow burn, because if the characters don't truly connect and like are emotionally invested with each other by the 50% mark, then it's an emotional slow burn. But they could have already had sex before the 50% mark. That's more of a physical connection. So for me, there's the physical slow burn and there's the emotional slow burn. So there's just so many different aspects to this, y'all. There's just so many. That's it, you guys. That's all I'm here to say about my rating systems. If I have any updates, maybe I'll do another system, but I think this is pretty solid for me right now, especially for this year. If anything changes, I'll make another video. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and comment a star or a chili pepper down below. Let me know if it was helpful. Let me know if you guys need some clarification or more book examples in the comments. I would love to clarify or answer any questions. Or if you just want to comment an emoji, I'm also here for it. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.